Well, this might be a divisive topic. Let's see. All right, so PNES, psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, or epileptic seizures. That is a sometimes misdiagnosis that occurs in the medical field that can be frustrating, confusing, upsetting, that has happened a lot more frequently as they become more aware of what we'll call it PNES is now. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so basically what PNES is that we've discovered so much is a psychological issue, psychiatric, psychological, and there's a lot of stigma around that, unfortunately, where there shouldn't be. And it's caused a lot of people to be wary of this diagnosis. A lot of medical professionals aren't even aware that it exists or are wary of it themselves, are not sure how to diagnose it. So it's still very unknown and very difficult to treat / diagnose. So we're going to see what we can discover about it here, what I have found. All right, so they have found the main causes for PNES are PTSD, previous abuse, assault, divorce, death, any high stress trigger instances where you've experienced a high trauma stress event. They have found that most of these have occurred in children / young adults, and most have occurred in women. Now, what they have been able to find in diagnosing PNES is that in most cases, epilepsy drugs do not work, do not help. But the gold standard in diagnosing this is using a video EEG. That can tell you almost certainly if it is PNES or an epileptic seizure. Apparently, in epileptic seizures, I gotta read this, they show characteristic cortical spikes and discharge patterns. Those are not shown in PNES EEGs. So apparently there's a lot more different / more brain activity in epileptic EEG recordings patterns. So again, at least they have a final way to tell a difference, because that would be frustrating if we just had to guess if there's a way. So there is that gold standard way that they can diagnose and tell. The problem with that is a lot of medical professionals don't have access to that equipment, or they don't have the knowledge that this possible diagnosis is out there. So the recent study says about 25% of people with PNES are misdiagnosed as having epilepsy, and a lot of them are getting mistreated with medication that they don't need, that won't work for them, and sometimes even medical procedures, possibly brain surgeries that they don't need, that won't help them, which is awful because you can't take that back. So much more research is needed. We need to get the word out there more that, this is a true problem, and remove a lot of the stigma of it, because it is a psychiatric problem, and it shouldn't be a stigma around it. It's a valid issue. It is a valid way that your body is processing a trauma that you've had. You know what I mean? One big problem, they say, is that once you have been diagnosed with epilepsy, it is almost impossible for somebody to accept that, oh no, we were wrong. It's actually a psychiatric problem. You have PNES. And they're like, no, I have epilepsy. Clearly, I have all these convulsions just like an epileptic. My friend has epilepsy. We're the same, which I totally get. I would understand that completely. You can't tell me, no, I'm just crazy. Which again, the stigma behind it. I get that. So it would be frustrating. And they say a lot of the problem is many patients feel their physician doesn't understand their illness once they exclude epilepsy from the diagnosis and think that they are just making it up or that their condition is untreatable when they tell them you just need to see a psychiatrist or psychologist to help you out of this. Which, as of now, that is the prescribed treatment for PNES, is a psychiatrist, which is its own work in progress. You know, depending on how well you work with your psychiatrist, it isn't a fix-all. It isn't for sure going to work. They have had some success working through the trauma, working through trying to figure out how your mind and body can work together to heal itself, to stop the seizures, but it is not 100% cure. They're still working to figure that out. So same with the epilepsy. We don't have a cure for that either. So we're all in the same boat in that situation. But it is frustrating that with epilepsy, at least we know there's medications we can try to treat it. There's surgeries we can try. There's implants we can try. With PNES, they say it's all mental, which, again, I get it, would be frustrating, especially with the stigma being labeled as, or thinking that you're being labeled as crazy, hysterical. You just can't deal with the trauma of what happened to you before, so you're just having seizures. It's not that. It's your body, your brain can't handle what has happened, so it is just, I don't even try to explain it. I'm not a doctor, but it's just handling it in its whatever way it can. And that's the way your body is choosing to handle the trauma that your brain can't. All right, so once again, take all this with a grain of salt. I am no doctor, I'm no physician. This is just my little bit of research I found on the internet. I found it an interesting topic. Again, I know it's divisive. I know everybody's gonna have their own opinion. I'd love to hear yours, good, bad, ugly. If you don't agree with me, please let me know down below. I'd be interested to hear if I'm wrong in anything, if I have different information. Love to hear it, absolutely. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.